Let's have a chat now about some of the big common mistakes that happens as soon as we start talking about dyslexia. Now, the first big mistake that educators will make is that they'll have themselves fall into what I would call the wait and see trap, where they're waiting and seeing if things will just magically solve themselves. Now, as teachers or as educators, we are by nature optimistic, and without that, we wouldn't stay as teachers. Okay, we'd go and find another job. And we deeply care about the kids we work for, and we really want to see them succeed. And sometimes we assume that children who are a bit behind their peers, they're going to catch up. And that's really based on the fact that we have a real heart to help kids. It's not based on statistics, it's not based on facts. And in truth, when we fall into the let's wait and see trap, we're really not helping our kids at all. So what happens is that the kids who start a bit behind at school, especially in the early years, the statistics are that they're going to stay behind. And the children who, at whatever point of their schooling that you're teaching your children, whatever point they're at, if they're behind now, then statistically you can expect them to stay behind. So the only way that we can help these kids is to deliberately intervene and put something new in place to bring that child back up to the average or above, and it can be done. But just by sitting around and going, oh, the child will mature, or the child has got a few things going on at home, things will change, things will get better, what's happening there is we're letting our natural optimism take over, and we're not using statistics or facts, and that's a mistake. So when children are behind, whether it's because of dyslexia or other stuff, it's important to not just sit around and wait and see if things fix themselves. It's important to get involved, do something different, and what's going to happen is if you don't do that, if you sit back and just wait and see and let our optimistic nature take over there, what's going to happen is that in 3 months' time or 6 months' time, the child is going to be in the same spot or worse, and you're still going to have to make the same difficult decisions. It's just that they've lost a lot of time that they could have been spending catching up. Okay, big mistake. Another big mistake that I see a lot of educators making with children who have dyslexia is that they'll underestimate kids with dyslexia. And what happens there is that when a child's been failing for quite some time or struggling for quite some time, it's almost the opposite of the wait and see issue. It's because that was built on blind optimism. Okay, this is built on blind pessimism, where we just go, oh, well, things have always been tough for that kid, so they're always going to stay tough. And what happens then is we drop our expectations of these children, and then that comes across to the child. They see it in our body language. They see it when we give them back their assignment, and their assignment has got a pretty average score, not an ideal score, and we say to the child, well done, you put a lot of effort into that, I'm happy with your work. And what the child hears is, oh, I'll only ever be average, it's all I can do. So the second big mistake that we as educators make is that we'll underestimate kids with dyslexia. What happens here is that we're not taking into account that with the right help, with a bit of intervention, with the right things done in the right way at the right time, that child can go from scoring Ds to actually getting Bs. Now, I see that all the time with the private consulting I do. Is it usually takes about maybe 6 months to turn a student who's getting Ds into a student who's getting Bs. It doesn't take that long. And I think it's important that we're aware that underestimating kids, it's going to come through in how we relate to them. They're going to shape themselves as, oh, I'm only this good. And you don't want that. You want to overestimate children with dyslexia. You want to assume, oh, well, things were stuck for you because of the dyslexia. Well, we're going to put some things in place. It's going to bring your skills right up and you're going to do really well, because that's what changes children's lives.